morning to every one of you. Welcome to the SEO King TV. This is this series of trainings and um, informational sessions are being jointly held between the Civil Service Club in Singapore as well as SEO King TV. And today we are very happy to have my good friend Mark Barnabas Lim, who is also called the Data Protection Pal. He will be sharing with you the secrets of data protection and why is it important that we need to consider data protection when we are collecting information in the course of our business or in survey and things like that. And Mark Barnabas is also the founder of a data heist game that actually makes you learn and appreciate more about what Personal Data Protection Act is just by playing the game. And may I have my honor to welcome my friend Mark Barnabas Lim. Over to you, Mark.
Hi, good morning, Eugene, and good morning, one and all. Thank you for being here. And no, in fact, you should thank us for having this event. I'm so sorry. But anyway, glad you're all here this morning in this very cool, nice morning. And it's my pleasure to be sharing a little bit about data protection itself. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to just leave the questions in the chat, and we'll pick it up along the way and do our best to answer them as much as possible. So Eugene, you got my slides, so let's begin.
Okay, just to add on a little bit, it would be nice to see everyone's faces. So please, if you can, just on your camera so that we would like to see. We would like to welcome you. So as you on your camera, I'll welcome Alvin, Patrick Loke. I saw Jessie, Sienna, TK Tan, Aisha, Vicky, and Jenny, right? So as you on your cameras, it'd be nice because it's a small, cozy session. I saw my good friend Rodney here. Thank you, Rodney. Yeah, and a couple of friends that I already know. Sienna is tuning in from Korea. She has been to several of our events, so I warmly welcome Sienna. Sienna is like an old friend to me now. Welcome, Sienna. And yes, as you on your camera, right? Aisha, Jessie, Jenny, and Vicky. I will pass the time now over to Mark to take you through the session. And just in case if you want to replay the session, this session is available at seoking.tv. seoking.tv, right? So you can tune in. We are live streaming from here. And for our friends that's watching from seoking.tv, we welcome you. And I have another screen that I will check. If you have any questions, you can put there, and hopefully we can address it along the way. Over to you, Mark.
Right, thank you. And welcome, good morning once again to people all over the world, and greetings. So do a very quick introduction of myself before I begin. Yes, I created a game called Data Heist. And Data Heist is the first game or first learning tool in the world that educates on cyber hygiene and data protection. And the reason why I created the game was because I was teaching privacy and data protection for so long, and I realized that, oh gosh, there must be a simpler way to educate employees who are from all levels, from the senior management all the way down to the operator, on what and how important data protection is. Because if the company or the employees fail to help the organization protect the privacy of personal data that is held by the organization gets into some not so nice consequences. And that's where I feel it's very important for companies to then use this to educate the staff. So beyond that, I've been in tourism and hospitality space for the past 15, 20 years. And thank goodness for I would say the tail end of the pandemic, and we start to see a lot of events, and I'm back in the event space again. In fact, my organization has organized more than 10 events this year, and several events are like more than 1,000 people. One of the most flagship events that our company has organized is the biggest parent and child run in Singapore in July this year, still in the midst of the pandemic. So let's not go into that. So let's go on to what we talk about today on data protection. So this is a game that we created with my team and I, it's mostly me. It's called Data Heist. So you can contact me later for more information. Otherwise, you can check out dataheist.org. It was quite interesting when I brought this to Germany last month, where I shared this game in a game kind of conference. So to see and get feedback from the industry, the board gaming industry, that if this game is playable. So I got very good feedback. So this is a game that's playable. Even though we don't talk about data protection, the game can still be played. And then whoever is facilitating the game can use the experiences in the game to put in some of these learning points that are related to data protection and privacy.
Actually, I'm very inspired by you, right, Mark? Maybe I should create a game on digital marketing, right? Because there are so many misconceptions there.
Exactly. So talk about so good point you have, Eugene, about misconceptions. And today I hope to clear some of these misconceptions regards to the PDPA. So first and foremost, what is the PDPA? Does anyone know what does PDPA stand for? If don't know, then you're in the wrong room. Wait. If don't know, then you're also in the right room, lah. Anyone does not know what PDPA stands for? Okay, the PDPA is the Personal Data Protection Act, and it is what we call the privacy law in Singapore. Now, this is a question that a lot of people are asking. Hey, Mark, what's the difference between privacy and data protection? Well, I got news for you. It's the same thing. Now, the only little difference here is this. When you talk about data, there are many kinds of data. Your financial data is data. Your data on how to bake a cake is data. Your customer list is also data. Well, let me put it in a very, very blunt way. Don't quote me, okay? The government, the regulators does not care if you lose your recipe, your patents, because that's your problem. But if you lose personal data of citizens and residents in that country, that is where the regulators will come after the organization. And that's where in Singapore, we have the regulator, the Personal Data Protection Commission, who will enforce the PDPA onto the organization that loses the personal data of individuals like you and I. Today we talk about rights. And you and I, being individuals, being residents, being citizens of this country called Singapore, we have rights to our personal data. And that's the reason why this common misconception is something I heard many, many times and said to me by many, many employees. PDPA doesn't affect me because I'm just an individual. Ladies and gentlemen, is this true or false? Just type T or F, true or false? PDPA is not my problem, it's my boss's problem. How many of you have heard that? How many of you have bosses? Absolutely right, this is false. PDPA does affect all of us because we have rights to our personal data. And we can't just let any Tom, Dick, Harry, Jane, or Sally to use our data for whatever they want to use it for, isn't it? And I'm sure you also want some form of privacy, right? So therefore, it is very important that we know our rights. So what are some rights you have? Wait, hang on. This is Singapore. Do we have rights? Yes, we do have rights, okay? So for those of you who are watching it, yes, we have rights being Singaporeans and individuals as well. And this is also stated and cited in the PDPA. This is taken directly from the statutes. I have not edited it at all. But what I've done is I have underlined and bold some of the keywords here. So what is the purpose of the PDPA? If there's one thing you take back, right, this is the slide, okay? Don't screenshot first. It's not the end. It's only half. So hang on. Okay, so the purpose of the PDPA is to govern the collection, use, and disclosure of personal data by organizations in a manner that recognizes both the right of individuals to protect their personal data and the need of organizations to collect, use, or disclose personal data for purpose that a reasonable person would consider appropriate in the circumstances. Yes, it's quite a mouthful, but this is called the law. No editing, just only underline and bold. So before I go into the right of individuals, if you are a business owner, think about this. Do you collect, use, or disclose any personal data? If you do, then you are under the scope of PDPA. Now, for us as individuals, do people outside, do companies, do, I don't know, people we buy from, do vendors collect, use, or disclose our personal data? If they do, then I got news for you. We have got some rights. And all these organizations that collect, use, or disclose our personal data are obligated, you can see this, are obligated to use it for a purpose that purpose that is reasonable. This is where the problem lies. Now, what on earth is reasonable? Is that question in your mind right now? Because what is reasonable to person A may not be reasonable to person B. Then how? How do we resolve this? So this is where the law makes it really simple. Yeah. And sometimes we think it might be simplistic. Get person C to figure out whether is it reasonable. Truth be told, that is it. If A and B cannot agree on something, we find a third party to mediate. And then we have mediators, and of course, if it gets serious, it goes up to court and all the way to high court. So it's very simple. Now, applying it to common application in our own businesses and where we live, all that. So what's reasonable can be deemed also as what's commonly practiced. Let me give you an example. A cup of kopi, a cup of local Singapore coffee. Would you pay $10 for a cup of local Singapore kopi? Quite unlikely, I would say, because it's not commonly practiced. It's not reasonable. Will you pay $10, however, for some artisan premium coffee? Some will say yes, some will say no, because there is a scale of reasonableness. Because if you are having artisan coffee at 7-Eleven, probably not. If you're having artisan coffee in a very nice restaurant overlooking some paddy fields, I'm thinking of Bali right now. Good ambience, good service, yeah, maybe, right? So reasonable is relative. But the law also applies this principle when it comes to enforcing the law on organizations. So that's very important here. So as an individual, we have to really check whether the environment around us or the ethics around it feel that it's reasonable. So therefore, business owners, what is reasonable? Check with your data protection officer or check with your consultant, because it does vary from industry to industry. Because even in the same industry, two companies may have a different way of doing things. For one is okay, for one is not okay. So back to the emphasis on the collection, use, and disclosure. The moment you collect personal data, you are already needing to protect your data and using it and then disclosing it and sharing to a third party. You do not want your country club to be sharing your data with some real estate or insurance agent, because they shouldn't be. It's not reasonable. A country club is supposed to serve its members. That's a good example for reasonable. Another example for reasonable for you to get in your mind is this. If you are organizing a lucky draw, very common, right? Lucky draw. What do we collect? Name? Would you write your name down on lucky draw coupon? I think most of you will. Would you write down your email on lucky draw coupon? Probably will. Would you write down your phone number on lucky draw coupon? Some say yes, some say no. Would you write down your home address on lucky draw coupon? This is where I usually get some yeses and some nos. And to the no's, I say, if you write down your home address, I might send you, or I will send you the prize if you win. If that reason is reasonable to the person who listens to it, oh, okay, sounds reasonable, I'll give it to you. Would it then be reasonable to also ask for your annual salary and where you work? Sienna's like shaking her head, no. Like, what has my annual salary got to do with lucky draw? That's where it's unreasonable, right? Clear cut. But you see, along the way, I was stretching it, isn't it? Name, email, phone number, address, so on, so on. That's how we got to measure it ourselves. Now, back to the PDPA. Now, but the PDPA also talks about accountability. So you can take a screenshot of this. It talks also about accountability, where it is the fundamental principle of the PDPA. So if you in an organization, you have to be accountable for all the personal data that you hold in your possession and take a risk-based approach to monitoring and responding to personal data risks. So what does it mean to us as individuals? It means that if we are going to give our data to any organization, they are responsible and they are also accountable to the government. That's the reason why I said this now, right? If the company loses its patents or its secret recipe, government doesn't care. But if the company loses its personal data of its customers, that's where the problem lies. And that's where it is challenging, because in Singapore, all organizations have to comply with the PDPA. When you say all organizations, it includes organizations that are for-profit and also non-profit. So I always share in my classes that I'm always very concerned with non-profit organizations, religious organizations, and organizations that do good, because while they are doing good, which is very good, sometimes, and hopefully not, they may overlook some of these compliance works, and that's where the problem lies. Yep. So there's a question that I also got asked, and maybe some of you are interested in this question. Do I breach the PDPA when I record a video of a friend monkeying around and then upload it on YouTube? Anyone got this question? Any problem with this? Well, I'll just share an anecdote that I had before. Now, I used to run adventure tourism trips, and I bring people up mountains, do crazy waterfall abseiling activities, and always very good videos, isn't it? Now, so there was one particular day, there was this activity where we abseiled down a waterfall. Very nice video, very cool video. And I was at the bottom of the waterfall, and I happened to have my camera phone. And then the person up there was like, "Hey, Mark, help me record a video of me. This is so cool." So, okay, fine. I used my phone. I recorded a video. And I was like, wow, great video. So I said, hey, dude, I'm going to put it on YouTube. So you can get it from YouTube, okay? So I did. I put it up on YouTube. And he got it from YouTube as well, and very happy, sharing with his friends, so on and so forth. And then I used that video for my marketing, because I said, oh, look, these are some of the trips that we organize, and this is one example of what you can do in our trips. So I collected the data from my phone. I used the data in my marketing, and I start to disclose this chap's personal data to many, many people. Question, ladies and gentlemen, anything wrong with that? Sounds okay, right? Then one day, this customer gave me a call. Hey, Mark, hey, don't use my video leh. I shy. Can you stop using my video for your marketing or not? Question, how? If you were me, how would you respond? What rights does this person have? Remember earlier on we just said, right? Any personal data that is being collected, used, or disclosed, and I actually did all of those. I collected the video, I used it for marketing, and I disclosed it to people around me. So I'm actually under the scope of PDPA. But does this gentleman does this person have rights to the video? What do you think? You know, Eugene is a SEO king and he's got many videos on YouTube. How are Eugene?
Yeah, I think basically it's like when he recorded, it's okay and all that. He thought it was personal use, right? I think what we think that when we recorded, and because this is an event that we organize, and then we assume that, okay, because there's this video, it'd be wasted if we don't use this video for our marketing. And I think having this assumption might be wrong, because I also agree, right? It's quite a tricky thing, like what Patrick Loke say. Patrick Loke say no problem. The creator owns the rights in a certain way. Yes, correct. But also there's also another flip side, right? Now after you use it, now the person asks you to stop.
And how?
So that is also another tricky. So is it my personal right? I took the video. I got the rights to this. Yes, it's true. But the video is that person. That person is inside.
So is there a PDPA issue here? Can he sue me?
Yeah. So we want to hear from the audience, right? What they think, right? Because I know the right answer, right? But let the audience think.
Any thoughts? Has it happened to you? Any of you before?
Do share.
Or even Storm, or even those who put on Storm. In Singapore, there's this citizen tree reporting where people take videos and pictures of people monkeying around, and it goes live and distributed all over the place.
What about children videos? Yeah, children videos.
Well, that's a bit. Really, it's a very similar situation, but gets real serious. Now, the video fact. Let's talk about facts first. Fact number one: video was recorded by me, so I own the copyright of the video, right, Patrick? Because I recorded a video, I own the copyright. Yes, Vicky is right, but the individual has rights to his face because his face is personal data, ma. You're using my face wall, right? If you use someone else's face for marketing, some people must pay money, right? If you use JJ or you use Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan, they might sue you, isn't it? So how? But this is a normal individual girl on the street like you and I, what? Then how? Can he sue me? Cannot, what? Cannot. He cannot sue me because for what damages? Number one. Okay, wait, let's talk about that later. But first, I own the copyright, but he owns the rights to his face. But it's uploaded on YouTube. YouTube is creator rights, but YouTube owns the data, right? And YouTube is public. Anybody can access, isn't it? So question, we do the technical PDPA. Did I, as a creator, have permission to record the video? That's
Yes.
one of the rights of PDPA. Do I, as a creator, have the right to record his personal data? The truth is yes, because he said, "Hey, help me record, So I have already been given the consent to record the video. So I have the consent and the right to record. Just like you go to a cinema, they'll tell you, "Oh, you cannot use your cell phone here. You still use your cell phone, I'll sue you. I tell you already, ma." Yes? So I have the right to record. Do I have the right to use or not? May not. Even if I do, it was not explicit. But he did give me the right to disclose because he said, "Hey, put on YouTube." So the moment I upload on YouTube, right? But because of the mechanics of how YouTube works, YouTube is public domain. The moment it goes out to the internet, the moment it goes out to Facebook, it's public domain more. So it means everybody can access. So there's almost like full disclosure. So how? Means I may have breached his rights already if he doesn't want to. Maybe this individual only want to disclose to his friends. That's why YouTube also got this private video, right? Then Facebook also got share only with friends and contacts or certain groups, isn't it? So there are already rights inbuilt into all these social media systems like YouTube and Facebook, where you can limit the viewership. you limit the disclosure. So if I had just assumed, which I did, I assumed that it should be public. So I put open video, everybody can watch, right? And then since it's open, right, I tompang use my marketing law. I mean, seriously, logically, does it make sense to you? I have not infringed anything, right? Because I put as public information, he didn't say no, which means that it could be a yes. However, not in all countries, it's always a yes. Okay, let's talk about it later. But the moment I put it public, can use by all, I use it for my marketing. Anything wrong or not? I mean, come on, don't tell me. Be honest, some of you use YouTube videos for marketing, right? Some of you also use YouTube video for your classes, isn't it?
So I think what Patrick actually indicated was quite good. He said to play safe, better to decide the audience and also so that they have no objection to business marketing. So I think I think what Patrick means that is that yes, he gives you the right to upload on YouTube, but he did not specifically tell you, hey, you can use it for marketing your business, right? Yeah.
Precisely. So now if you were me, what will you do? How? I would use marketing there. And worse, let's say you print flyer, print and then distribute to 10,000 people, then how? Then what do I have to do? Means I must go and destroy our flyers. Cannot be. Okay, let me give you 3 Chinese words, okay? And this is the way I handle my business also. Qing, Li, Fa. Let me try to type it out. Qing means relational. Li means reason. Fa means legal. So when you deal with this kind of situation, I gotta decide how I want to deal with it. Do I want to deal with it in a legal standpoint? Do I want to reason with the individual? Or do I want to go on pure relationship to keep the relationship? Because in my situation, use my case study, I have already disclosed to 10,000 people because of my marketing. The fact is that there are no damages done to this person. So he cannot really sue me for anything, right? There's no damages, so he can't. He sue me. He's not going to get any money. The most he gets is an order for me to take it down. Make sense? So he probably wouldn't go into litigation as well because there's no monetary damage. If I use JJ Lee's picture for my marketing and I get money for it, then I could lose all the income made from there. But in my situation, in this case, no. There's no money. There's no direct use of marketing. There's no direct revenue. So there may not be damages done. So I can say that no, I only start using for marketing. I don't earn any money from it yet. So no. So legally you can't make me. It's YouTube. You cannot force me to remove from YouTube. It's my rights. You write to YouTube, ask them to take it down. That's one way, you know. Or do I want to do it in a reasonable way? Okay, whatever it is, so sorry that I sent it out already, but okay, I promise to stop from now on. Whatever sent out is sent out. And whatever is remaining, let me use finish first can. Then I will promise not to use it. I will not create new marketing or new collaterals from your picture. Or friend. Okay lah, you since you don't want, okay lah, I take it down lah. Then my business suffer lah. Because I printed and spent money. So really it's a case of really how you want to deal with the situation and what kind of customer you're dealing with. So it's really many ways of dealing with one situation. Again, I cannot give a yes, no answer. It's really a case by case basis because under the PDPA, you did see already, it's all about reasonableness, which is also one of the principles that apply in the PDPA. Yeah? So I got some questions here. Let me just look at the questions here. Patrick asked a question. For any social media platform, example YouTube, Facebook, where is it stated on PDPA? Haha, that is very good question. So if you do a search on YouTube, you will be able to find the privacy policy. Yes, it's called a privacy policy. Let me just dig out a privacy policy. And you go and search on Zoom as well, you will be able to see a privacy policy. So I'm going to switch my screens here. I'm going to just show you directly how we do it. So you search Zoom, privacy policy. Some call it a privacy statement, some call it a customer privacy. some call it privacy notice. All right, it can be called privacy notice, privacy policy, or customer privacy. And let's look at Zoom, what we're using now. Over here is a privacy statement where they tell you how they collect your data, how they use your data, and how they disclose your data. Exactly what you see in the PDPA. So you see here, how we receive. They are very clever, Zoom. How we receive. They never say how they collect, because you give me the data, so it's I take it now. How we use and how we share. So disclose is a very corporate term. So how we share your data, it's all here. So this is where they show you, they tell you what your rights are, and you scroll a little bit lower down, you see here, data protection, data,
Mark,
yes.
can you share the screen? I think you're sharing the wrong screen, bro.
Oh, whoop, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you for telling me that. Okay, there you go. So yes, Zoom privacy statement. So you see here, how we receive, how we use, and how we share personal data. And talk about rights. You scroll down a little bit more, you see here, children. Eugene mentioned about children, right? So children's use of personal data, European data protection specific information, California privacy rights. Now you don't see anything about Singapore here because Singapore is a small, tiny country. Zoom is based in California. So therefore they use the California privacy rights. We call it the CCPA or CPRA soon. And then you have European. Why European? Because the European privacy law or data protection law is the most stringent data protection law in the world. And it's also the law that is extraterritorial. Oh gosh, what's this word? Extraterritorial means that the GDPR or the General Data Protection Regulations of Europe extends beyond the boundaries of Europe. So it also means that it could affect people like us in Singapore if we are doing some business. Question so far. So I hope I answered this question. So all you need to do, if you want to search for any privacy policy of any company, you just search for privacy policy or privacy and then exploration. I'll show you one company that has changed the privacy policy because of my training. OSIM. I used to use OSIM as a bad example in my training, and there was one day that one of the guys in my class actually knew the people in OSIM and alerted them. So now I can't show you an example of bad policy anymore because it's all good here. So it's the same thing, you see, it's very similar. Collection, purpose, use, disclosure. You see a very similar words appearing. So if you are running a business and you have a company, you should be having something like this. There's no hard and fast rule on how this is to be presented, but you see the common topics here. So if you want to find out more on what is required, you can talk to me. I will tell you a little bit more. All right, so let's get back to our session and let me talk a little bit about GDPR because I think I had a question here on GDPR. Let me fast forward. Yes, so GDPR, beyond Asia. So there are two big laws in the world right now that are what we call extraterritorial, meaning that the citizens and residents of Europe in the 29 countries under the EU are accorded rights to GDPR, even though they are not in Europe. I say again, European residents and citizens, even though they are not in Europe, will also be accorded rights of GDPR, even though they are not in Europe. And there are some big fines all over the world where you notice that, where you can see that big companies like British Airways, Yahoo, Google, Facebook, Meta have been fined because they have breached GDPR. So GDPR is extraterritorial. So if we handle customers from Europe, if we have personal data of European residents or citizens, we could be subject to GDPR, or at least the individual who is the data subject can come up to you and say, hey, I've got rights to GDPR. Can I have my data back? And therefore, that's where we have to be a bit more aware. So does anybody in this room serve European customers or deal with Europe business, this is where you might want to be mindful. So I have a question here, and I type it out here. Companies in Singapore only need to comply with PDPA, but no need to comply with GDPR. Well, the rule of thumb is usually you will have to comply with the laws of the country you do business in. So if you are doing business in Singapore, you obviously have to comply with the PDPA. But if you are dealing with Europe, you might want to also, I would say, take notice of the GDPR as well. I wouldn't say to comply 100% with GDPR because it will be very, very difficult, but you want to take notice of customers from Europe. So what I advise my clients is you want to segregate, or you want to be very careful how to manage your personal data in your inventory. So if you are dealing with Singaporeans or basically generally Singapore, yeah, or all other data, fine, even Middle East, because only 2 countries or 2 economies have an extraterritorial law, which is China and Europe. So I didn't mention much about China yet because China only passed their privacy law in 2021 November last year. And of course, we all know China is going through its own challenges with COVID right now. So no one actually knows quite well how China is going to enforce their PIPL, their personal information protection law. But we know that it is very, very similar to GDPR. So if you're in Singapore, you focus on the PDPA first. And my advice is to segregate your data that European customers. But if let's say you're doing regular business with Europe, then you will want to, again, look at your processes. Because every company is going to be a little bit different. So you really need to look at your processes. And maybe you would apply more of the GDPR in your business. So that's my typical answer. So Patrick asked a question, wouldn't it be better that we do have our own website that write on our social media platform and avoid GDPR and PDPA? Well, it is not wrong. Actually, you are right, Patrick, because in Meta, Facebook, you do have company pages. And you generally, customers of Facebook or Meta would already have given consent to Facebook to do all those things that they do on Facebook. However, there's something that I noticed on Facebook, and I will show you this for a fact because this happened sometime in 2020, I think, after the GDPR was passed in Europe. Let me just switch my screens again. Now, Facebook does ask users for their consent, but in 2020 thereabouts, I want to turn your attention to this particular tab on your Facebook. There is a tab on your Facebook that asks you if you have a company page like what I'm showing here. There is a tab that will ask you to, there you go, privacy and legal info. Facebook has also invited you to put in your privacy policy because this is a business page. So my advice to a lot of companies is, well, because Facebook is a big, huge, gigantic entity, we are tiny and small. We want to protect ourselves as much as possible. I would say put up your privacy policy on Facebook as well, even though you run your company on using the social media platforms. So even if you are, excuse me, using YouTube, for example, you are asking people to point and go out to somewhere else. YouTube will say, okay, after you go out, it's not my problem. They will have some notification. I know a lot of apps that begin to have that. If you're going out of the environment, they say, okay, you are going out to it. Please be aware that you're going out to a separate app, not within the control of my app environment. So this is something that's very common in recent times. So my advice is, yes, no doubt we can use third-party platforms to help you, but it doesn't exclude you from having a privacy policy. Because even even when you're collecting data through Facebook, you are collecting data. You're just using Facebook as a what we call a data intermediary. Patrick, write to me, I'll show you. Yeah. All right. So this is where this is my advice for organizations to have it. In Singapore we say kiasu lah. Yes, we are a bit kiasu. We're a bit careful with that as well. So I want to just share one last anecdote before we open up to questions and open answers. So this is one of the breaches that happened this year, and this is a very interesting breach. Now, this particular individual, breach of consent and purpose limitation operated by Neo Yong Xiang Trading as Yoshi Mobile. So a particular individual this guy was selling SIM cards, and when you sell SIM cards to individuals, they will typically have to collect the IC of the person that buys SIM card. So if you go buy a SIM card, even if it's a temporary SIM card or those kind of a prepaid SIM card, you have to give your IC or passport to the person who sells you, and this person, the salesperson, is supposed to take a copy of it and send it to the telco for record purposes under the Telco Act. Because under the Telco Act, the telco, all the green one, the yellow one, and the not yellow, orange one, and the red one need to know who is going to be using the phone line, because in case the terrorists, right? So they need to know who's using the phone line. So this particular individual very clever. Wherever someone bought a prepaid SIM card and allow him to collect the passport or the IC, this chap Neo Yong Xiang would have used this IC to purchase extra phone lines. By the way, do you know that you are only allowed to have 5 phone lines in Singapore? Last I checked, I remember it's 5. So if you have bought 1, this guy will use your name, buy 3 more, and then sell this card to a scammer or a person who wants to do telemarketing, and then use this number as a scam number. So now you know why you get so many calls, right? And then you complain, but they still call you, because you have monkeys like this guy who had done this and was charged by PDPC. So there are actually 2 rights here, both for PDPC as well as telco. So these are some of the rights that we see in application, and this is so real. And that's why I tell people, hey, do you know as an individual you have 5 phone lines? Protect them. Don't anyhow let people use your IC. So now you know how dangerous the IC is, right? Because someone could use your entitlement to do something, and it's worse if that person used your IC to do something wrong. It comes back to you. That's the very strong reason for every individual to learn PDPA and take care of their personal data and protect all their data from all these cyber scammers and hackers out there. Right? So are there any questions that I missed out? Are there any questions I missed out that you would like to ask? Otherwise, I want...
Please type in the questions if you have any.
Otherwise, I want to help you to identify whether a company that you're working with, whether it's a vendor, whether you are a customer, is a bit more PDPA compliant, okay? So I'm going to share with you these questions. So if you are a business owner, right, you check with your vendor. Do you have a DPO? Do you all know what a DPO is, A DPO, don't know, Aisa? DPO is Data Protection Officer. So a DPO, a Data Protection Officer, is mandatory under the PDPA. So every company must have a DPO. Sierra Korea also must have. Okay. So do you have a work process if you collect NRIC or other unique identifiers or other personal data? No SOP, that means fail. Have you got SOP for staff? Because staff, I told you, right, different levels, right, from the senior manager all the way to the ground operator. Even the receptionist does collect personal data. If the staff have no SOP, means there's no form of protection, means fail. Now, they'll ask, are you able to fulfill all the obligations of the PDPA? If they go like, what's that? Then confirm fail. Because if you do not know their obligations, then also fail. So the fact is, in Singapore, there are 11 obligations of the PDPA? 11. So a DPO has to know all these obligations and apply them in the business. How many obligations?
11.
11. I got a video on YouTube that will give you a summary of all 11 obligations. You can check it out later on my channel. And the last question I will ask, this is the question for the DPO or the business owner. Dear DPO of the company or dear business owner, have you got a DPMP? If the person go, huh? Again? Then also fail because a DPO, a data protection officer, should know what a DPMP is. Because if a data protection officer doesn't know what a DPMP is, then again, I can confirm with you, this data protection officer is not trained. So what's DPMP? DPMP stands for a Data Protection Management Program. In short, we also call it a Data Management Program. So you ask, you try some of your vendors. If some of you who are in business, you can ask the company, have you got a DPO? Can I talk to your DPO? Have you got a DPMP? Oh, don't have. Oh, okay. Then you know lah. And then you make your wise decision to use or not to use. Okay.
Here is the problem, right? By law, right? All directors or CEO are the default data protection officer, and they think that is the only requirement, no? Just declare themselves as data protection officer, but they don't go for proper PDPA training. So when you ask them this kind of questions, a lot of them are jammed, right? That's the problem, and that's why we are bringing Mark to bring this series to help business understand, and also to help members of CSC understand this obligation of PDPA, right?
Yeah, because the consequences are quite dire. Because in Singapore, the maximum fine for the breach of PDPA, does anyone know how much the fine is? Not too little, not too much. Only $1 million. The maximum fine of the breach of PDPA is $1 million. Yeah, so I think it's only makes sense that we do our best to comply. For companies who are very want some branding, because the PDPA can also look for the data protection trust mark. It is not an easy mark to get. It's like a mark of excellence that you have done well in PDPA. So we have some courses out here, and this is WSQ courses. So if you're keen to find out more about the 11 obligations and details of the course of the WSQ offered by the WSQ course, which is the Singapore training framework, feel free to scan this QR code so I can point you to the ATOs, the different ATOs that I work with to study or learn this PDPA in greater detail.
Okay, for those of you that are based in Singapore, please do scan. For people like Sienna who is tuning in from South Korea, what I'll do is I will after this talk I will have a chat with Mark on some of the resources that he can send to all of you, and I'll just send you an email regarding some of the resources, additional videos that you can do and things like that, so that you can further your knowledge on PDPA as well. Yeah.
Or you can just hop on to my channel.
Data Protection Pal.
Yes, visit my channel and check out the videos that are very short videos on what the PDPA is all about, and of course tips on cyber hygiene and security. And I invite everyone who's in Singapore and nearby to come check me out, and I would love to share this little game with you. It's called Data Heist, the first learning tool to educate on cyber hygiene and data protection. And thank you all for being here. I hope you'll learn something. I'll be very glad to connect with you and talk more with you. And of course, please feel free to connect with me on social media. It's very easy to find me. So just look for my name, Mark Barnabas. You will find me either on Facebook or LinkedIn. So it's a pleasure to be here. I hope you have a good afternoon and good Saturday.
And just to add on, I've got two upcoming events that I want to inform all of you, so that you'll be aware of the events that we have. Right, so what we have is the next event that we have is actually tomorrow, right? At 2 p.m. is called Getting That Winning Pitch. And let me just show show you the slide. Okay. Just a minute. Yeah, so this will be tomorrow at 2 p.m. getting that winning pitch. And if you know, if you guys are interested, you can let me know, so then I can tune you in, or I can just register all of you in. If you can't make it, then it's okay, because what will happen is that the next one that we are gonna have is I'm gonna invite Jamie, and we're gonna have this session on 3rd of December. So what will happen is that you will still register at the same URL, but currently the URL is to this Zoom. So on Tuesday, you can register already. It's at csc.seoking.tv, and we'll see you in a conversation which I will have with Jamie on effective use of social media, right? And the word social is intentionally spelled wrongly, just to make sure that you guys pay attention, right? All right. and with that, we would like to thank you. Are there any other final questions that you may have, so that we can address this and sort of complete the session on PDPA? Anyone has any burning questions that you must ask? If not tonight, you can't go to sleep, that kind of thing.
That's quite funny, but yeah. So you can always connect me on LinkedIn as well. So I left my LinkedIn there, so search for me, and I'll be glad to connect with you and talk to you more.
Yeah. Yeah. For those of you who want to carry on, there's also a link. There's also a Telegram that you can connect me, and normally whenever I have events, I will announce it on the Telegram. So if it's at t.me/SEO4B, I have indicated in my Telegram in the Zoom chat. So do connect there, so that we can continue to do courses. And I won't rule out inviting Mark again in maybe 2 months, 3 months time, so that we can be refreshed of the latest updates of PDPA as well, right?
Hopefully, in 3 months' time, I will have my new my new learning kit out. It'll be a simulation of data breaches for organizations on how
nice.
to respond to a data breach, which is something
Nice.
very, very real in Singapore and everywhere out in the world right now.
Okay, so do look out. You can tune in to Data Protection Pal in YouTube. Data Protection Pal in YouTube. You can subscribe to Mark, or if you can subscribe to seoking.tv for my YouTube channel. So with that, my name is Eugene. I would like to thank you. And Mark, parting words, Mark.
Be good, be safe.
Yes, and on behalf of Civil Service Club, we would like to we really appreciate this opportunity to add value to the community at large. With that, we thank you, and we will